truth?
Oh, I'm all ears.
Okay. The truth.
I always tell the truth, even when I lie.
Why do you find it so hard to believe?
Why do you find it so easy?
It's never been easy.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth.
All I'm offering is the truth. Nothing more.
Hello and welcome to Truthful Talk. I'm your host, Marco DeGeorge, and today we have a special treat for you. We're going to be doing something called Student Insights. And so I'm the co-founder, for those of you who don't know, I'm the co-founder and instructor at Truthful Acting Studios. We're an acting conservatory located in Orlando, Florida. And what I do from time to time is I will interview my students on their journey into acting. And I think it's good to be able to listen to their journeys too, because it's not just the actors that have already made it in the industry and the artists that are already working, but it's also the entire process as well. So today we're going to be listening to some of the interviews I've done with some of my current students. So hope you enjoy. Okay, and we are here with Kimberly Ramos.
Hi.
Hi, Kim.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, it's good to have you here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So, how I kind of want to dive into acting and everything else. And,
sure.
But I know you have had other things that you've had to deal with in addition to that.
Yeah.
And you don't have to get into too much detail if you don't want to, but just for people out there that are going through other life issues as it leads into acting, how do you deal with that? How do you juggle being an artist and also dealing with other things that you have to deal with in your life?
Well, Marco, I'm going to be honest. It's been very difficult to try and jiggle between the two, but I don't find it impossible. I just go day by day and I try not to ignore my body when it's reaching its limit. Like I have to, and it's a process that it's hard to learn, how to listen to your own body when it's saying, hey, stop. You have to pull back when you want to be doing the thing that you're passionate about, which is, acting for me. And since it's a very competitive world and very harsh, it can be a very harsh industry. It takes a toll in your confidence as an artist, as a person. But, I just try to find the good in it. If I'm having a bad day, I'm having a bad day. But am I having such a bad day that I can not be there? I cannot be present, or I can be there and try to do the most out of it, right? So just keep going, but learn to listen to what your body is telling you, so you don't go beyond that and cause more damage than, that it could be good for you, And
do you find that your art gives you an escape from some of that, or like, how does that play in?
It does. It gives me an escape, and it gives me a purpose at the same time. My health is very unpredictable, so I never know when I'm going to be able to do something. So whenever I have that chance, I try to like embrace it and enjoy it as much as I can, because I don't know when I'm going to be able to do it again. So each time is like a once in a lifetime opportunity for me, But yeah, it is an escape for me, as it is like a support at the same time. But yeah, it's my art is what keeps me going. And despite me going through so many rough paths and stages in my life, I always find that I can breathe when I'm doing what I love, which is acting, which is anything that it's related to acting. It helps me to ground myself and to find that even though I go through dark paths, there's always light in what you love doing.
And, I think this is such an important conversation because there's so many people out there that are dealing with some kind of issue, whether it's a physical issue, mental issue, just personal, even household. I mean, there's all sorts of things that tend to get in the way of us doing what we want. The one thing I've always been impressed by you is you always maintain a sense of positivity to the point where, from the outside, I don't think anyone would know you have so much that you're dealing with, internally and other things. And I think that's a message. I've always been impressed by that, of how you are this spark of inspiration, regardless of what you're dealing with. Is that a natural thing for you, or where does that come from?
I don't know. It might be, because I definitely don't. I don't think I do it on purpose. I just always try to find what, I always try. Every situation has it. When you are like in the bottom of things, you can just hold up. There's this quote that goes around. I've seen it plenty of times in the internet that says that you have survived all your bad days and you're still here, something like that. And if I'm still here, it means that there is a chance to do the things that I want to do. There's always a chance as long as we are here, right? That there's that hope. As long as we breathe, we might be able to do everything we put our minds to it. It's not easy. It's not an easy thing. Sometimes I don't know. It's hard, but yes, I do try to always find the light in things and the good, because I don't believe that everything is bad. Never. Even in the very, very bad situations that you might be in, there is always something that you can pull out of that and to like help you push through, So
what's your inspiration for that, though? I mean, are you doing this for, like, when you have those moments? We all have hard days, and what I find is we tend to get selfish during those hard days. Like, it's like, oh my God, woe is me. And you want to complain about it and to do all of that. And I don't remember a single time where I've ever seen you complain about what you're going through. But do you have a motive? Like, are you doing this for your family? Are you doing it just for you? Is it just a mindset? I mean, what causes you to push through that very human thing that so many people do? And you're not complaining, you're being motivating and inspirational even through all of that.
I would say it's my brother. Okay. He is the light of my life. He's special needs. He has autism and Down syndrome, and he's very dependent on me and my mom. So everything I do for him. And even though I have days that I feel like I can't get up, I feel like I can't do anything. Even in those days, I have found myself that I push through just so I can, tend to him, so I can make sure that he's okay, and to help my mom. My mom recently went through cancer. She's cancer free, thankfully. But in that process, I felt it was very hard for me because I struggle with my own illnesses, with my own tired body, but I was, taking care of my mom, taking care 24/7 of my brother, just so my mom, could like heal. And it's something that I still do, but I do it with all my love because I find purpose in it. Like, he gives me purpose. He is everything to me. He smiles, his little, these little things, I don't know. He's older than me, but he's my baby. So everything that I do, I find that I do for him because he, you know, he can fend for himself. You know, he's a baby. He's my baby. So, and my mom's baby and my dad's baby, but he's my baby too. So, yeah, he's my motivation every day. I wake up and I'm so thankful that he's with us. And also my mom. My mom is my rock. My mom is everything as well. She's my biggest supporter in the world. If anyone roots for me, it's her. And she's always supported me in everything that I've wanted to do ever since I was a child. Like, I can't remember a time where she didn't encourage and something that I wanted to do. You know, be an artist or anything that I would come up to my mind. Like, oh, I want to be a lawyer. Oh, sure, honey, you should be a lawyer. But, you know, being an actor was always something that I wanted to do ever since I was little. And growing up in Puerto Rico, we didn't have that. Especially in my town. It's in the west. It's in the most in the countryside of the island. So we didn't have that. It's not something that was possible. But my mom and my granddad, my mom's dad, he always said that I was going to be a star, that I should go for everything that I want to do because I was good. And, you know, the both of them encouraged me every time. And when we moved here to Florida, I told my mom, I was around 15. I told my mom I want to do acting. And she was like, okay, if that's something you want to do, yeah, you know that I will support you. So I just waited until I got better from the surgeries that I had to get and all the medical process. I got it out of the way and I signed up for my first class.
Nice.
Which was in Truthful Acting.
And, you know, it's amazing because even through all of that, and I know we've been talking about that, but it's still the work that you do and the work that you put into it. It's so strong. I mean, your acting is so strong. And I think that's really the message. I think it's for people that are, because there's so many people that are either hesitant to try or they use life as an excuse to get in the way. And I look at you and it's like, not only have you not let life get in the way, but you're bulldozing through it and you're such a strong actor in spite of all that. And so somehow you've been able to push through. And I think that could be a very inspirational message for anyone that is making life an excuse.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you tell somebody that is going through their own struggles, but they want to do this?
If it's something that you want to do, you should go for it. And not listen to what anyone else has to say. Because the moment you start asking for opinions about, hey, I want to do this, people are going to come up with their own excuses for you. And that might stop you. Because it's happened to me before. And I try not to let that happen to me again, especially when it comes to my craft, you know, to acting. Because it can be a lonely decision and a lonely journey because it's for you. You have to do it for you and not for other people. And yeah, if you want to, you just have to go for it. Just look to sign up for a class. You know, start learning in the internet or something. But you have to do it for you. And it can be a lonely journey, but it doesn't have to, you know? It doesn't have to. But if it has to be, then so be it. If this is something that you want to do, you have to push through. But always knowing your limits and when you have to stop so you can reset and start again. Just not be afraid to start again. Start as many times as you have to. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's what life is like that. You know, you failed in a job, you maybe quit, or you got fired, you look for another job.
Yeah.
Acting is like that, you know? Just don't be afraid to start as many times as possible.
Oh, I love that. Absolutely love that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all the time we actually have, but thank you so much for being here.
No, thank you so much for having me.
It's always great talking to you.
I love being here.
All right. Well, we'll have you back soon then.
Yes, definitely.
All right. Perfect. So today we are talking to John Matthews, who is remote because you're all the way. Where are you, John? You are in Maryland.
I'm in Maryland, yes. I'm in Eldersburg, Maryland, which is higher in the mountains, and it's always cold.
It's always cold. Oh, so you're okay. So you're in higher altitude.
Yeah. It's probably like maybe 20, 30 minutes away from Baltimore, but it's pretty nice up here. It's a very nice area.
Okay.
Very mountains and farmland and all that.
Has it started snowing yet?
It was a little bit today. It was flurries. We did have some snow, but it wasn't a whole lot. I'm waiting for like 12 inches one day, but I don't know.
Yeah, we're still waiting for it to snow in Florida too.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. So, all right. So John, we're talking about acting and all things related. And so I'd love for you to kind of describe your journey into it, since, you've taken, at least with us, you've taken an interesting journey of being so far away and still being so connected in. So what was that? What was the thing that got you started in acting?
Oh God. You really want to know? I mean,
I really want to know.
It's, well, the one I remember was, I was in pre-K. I remember this because it was, I have little flashes here and there, but you know, the Jungle Book?
Sure.
Yeah. I was pretending to be Mowgli. I was running around on all fours during PE. Or not PE, but out on recess or whatever it was. And I think I was so convincing that the teachers wrote my parents that they thought I was autistic because I was doing that. Nobody else was doing that. So, I mean, that was a whole other thing. But I mean, in general, I've always just liked mimicking things, always liked watching movies, always watched older movies and, Clint Eastwood and all that. And, was really into Star Wars and all that, and Lord of the Rings. Plus, what else was it? Really into video games. I'd play a lot. Sometimes maybe too much, but that was when I was a lot younger and stuff. But I've had to calm down a bit.
Okay.
But, yeah.
But that kind of led the spark of creativity?
Yeah. And another thing now that I think about it, those old Japanese Godzilla movies where they would have to dub, where they would dub the things, and how I know it's cheesy, but like the goofiness of that, and like the whole, somebody getting in a suit and using your imagination for all that stuff, I thought was cool.
Okay.
But I, it's a lot of things, just a lot of little things, like a lot of, I don't know, like doing like acting like I'm getting hurt or something or shot, and, acting like that around my parents, and acting like, just acting out in general.
How has, because I know, like you said, you played video games, and I know you're still a gamer to a smaller extent, but you still play games. How has gaming helped your artistry?
Oh, it's helped a lot. Really, the gaming has, like, it's really the reason why I like to, experiment with a lot of things with stuff, all the roles or whatever you've given me and stuff. I've always tried to, maybe take something from a game or something and try and maybe somebody had a cool voice or something, or try to mix something in. But it's, I guess, the process of like no-lifing something is helped me try to incorporate that with, memorizing lines and trying to really stay true to that, hammering that down. Because for me, it was, if I can't memorize the lines, then I can't live the fullest that I want to live. And that is really a big thing for me. I mean, whatever you've given me, I've always tried to get that out of the way as soon as I could and just try and hammer that down, and then I can experiment with things. So, I've always had I try to think I have an adept memory, but it's getting there.
Nice. Yeah. Cause I think, it's such an amazing thing that, at least in the era I grew up with, we were always told that video games are going to get in the way. It's a waste of time. Like, well, why are you playing games so much? All of that. And then, but it's interesting that we've seen a progression of gaming into today where gaming is really cathartic and therapeutic and it actually helps with the creativity and the artistry.
Yeah. No, it really is. I played all kinds of stuff, Marco. Like even ones that are like really shitty, you could say. But like I'm really into older games type stuff, even ones that are like under the radar type things. But I don't know, modern gaming now, some of it's kind of gotten away. I don't know. I just think it's, the whole pay to win thing, like to buy something that you should be grinding for to get on your own. I don't really like that whole thing. I think it's kind of like the state that most people are in now. Like they want it now. They just want it now. It's like, just wait, just give it time. Because I know this because when I was like 18 or 17, I always would want to rush things. I'd always want to have, like, I wouldn't want to wait. And I didn't know that whole thing of waiting and just letting things settle in. I didn't know that whole aspect until, after working with you guys at Truthful for about 2 years. That's really been a life-changing thing.
Nice.
That whole thing.
What's been your most difficult challenge in your artistic journey?
I would say just not letting, like, if you don't do it right, don't let it get in your head. Like, if you don't do it right the first time, like, I've always had a problem with that where, am I doing this right? Is it right? Like, does it, because I can't see myself doing it. I need to trust that who's ever watching knows that it's good or it's presentable kind of thing. Like I sometimes get in my head to where I'm like, I don't know, should I do this? But when I get into that, I'm like, I kind of try to hammer it down and say, well, fuck it. Just do it. Just see if they like it.
Yeah.
If it works.
So just giving yourself permission to try new things and to do it.
Yeah. That has been a hard thing for me because, growing up, I always had anxiety, like really, really bad, like to the point where I couldn't even get on the school bus. Didn't want to, like, I would cry and tell my dad I didn't want to get on because I didn't like people looking at me, or I didn't like I thought people were judging me kind of thing. And it was just that whole box of emotions that kind of I didn't know how to regulate that, and it would get in the way. So, yeah.
And, something that I'd love to touch on too is that you've been studying acting remotely for a few years now. And
Yeah.
that's something that is very difficult to do. And most people have a very hard time doing that because this online environment is it's not for everyone. It takes a certain discipline to do that. And so how have you been able to navigate that and keep yourself going and motivated in this sort of online environment?
Well, I mean, I do have the garage, as you can see, but it's more than that. It's really, Marco, I mean, in before all this, I didn't really know. I knew I wanted to act, but I didn't know I didn't know what to do. I didn't have that process. I didn't know the whole, what it took to do it. And I wanted to know what it was because I knew there was something to it. But, before this, I did take I did go to a community college and try to do an acting school there. But they, from what you were telling me, a lot of people don't know how to teach acting. And It was kind of, I don't know, it was just kind of odd, the stuff we would do. I really don't want to go back to it, but it's very freeing and great that, when you actually have a process and you know what to do now. And I've just really squared away on trying to polish it out. That's why, I've been with you for so long doing, I never really took a semester off.
Right.
It's, I'm just kind of, what do you say, sharpening the sword kind of thing. But it has been a little difficult with certain family members. They are like, so what's this whole act? What are you doing with acting? I mean, what are you doing? You got a agent yet? You got a, are you doing plays? Are you doing things? I'm like, just don't worry about it. Just let me do what I need to do. What does it matter to you? Because everybody wants to start something, Marco. They want to start some kind of trouble. And it's like, what do you, what does it matter to you, what I do? I mean, I'm just, I'm in the garage. I'm doing this live. I mean, what do you, I do plan to come down to Florida at some point and work more personally with you, but it's like, nobody has any patience. I don't understand that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, as an artist, we need to have patience in ourselves, but then sometimes it's difficult because the people around us don't have the patience in us. And so we're getting this constant pressure that we should be somewhere other than we actually are. And that makes it very difficult.
No, it does. I mean, it's because from my parents' side, they've been supportive of it. I know my mom is, my dad, he is, but he still has that whole, because he's been a blue collar worker most of his life and stuff, and he's a sales rep, and he had a dream of being a pro golfer, and he was trying to get me to do that. I mean, I liked golf, but I didn't love it like he did, where I love acting. It's not the same. And I guess he was trying to get me to do something like that and, expand my boundaries with things. And I try to, but I don't know. I don't really see anything else to do besides acting right now.
Nice.
Yeah. It's just,
yeah. And I love that. And I love your dedication to it and that you stick with it no matter what.
Yeah. No, I definitely try to do that. And the video games have helped with that. The whole no lifing something and sticking with it kind of thing.
Well, we've reached our time, but I really do appreciate you talking with us today and sharing your stories. And I think it's very helpful for others to hear. And I love working with you, John. And I can't wait to continue for many years.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you.
We're back and we're joined by Waverly Witkowski.
That is me.
That is you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So, Waverly, talk to me about that name. I love that name, Waverly, but I've never, you're the only one I know.
I have met a couple, weirdly enough.
Really?
I have. I've met them at work. I met them on an airplane, but they're normally little children. It's becoming more popular in younger kids.
Okay.
My parents actually wanted to name all of us W names. So we all had unique names. So mine's Waverly, my brother is Wyatt, and my sister is Willow. But mine was the one that didn't become common. Wyatt became common later on, and Willow, people think of other people, Willow Smith, kinds of things like that. But Waverly, my parents heard of it in a movie / book called The Joy Luck Club, with Amy Tan was the creator of that. And it's a story about Chinese immigrants that live in San Francisco and all of their stories. And my mom loved that movie. The daughter's name in the movie was Waverly. And I think it was based on, it's normally a place name and not a person name. Most of the Waverlys you hear, it's like Wizards of Waverly Place. And no, I was not named after that.
That's the only one I know.
Yes,
right?
A lot of people think of that one in New York, especially after the show on Disney Channel, and would ask me if I was named after that. No, but technically I think I was named after the street in San Francisco. I have been. Chinatown, they have the main street is Waverly Street or Waverly Place.
Okay.
And so I think that's where the author had gotten the name Waverly for the daughter, since it was based in San Francisco, Chinatown. But yeah, my family really liked it. And they weren't sure if they wanted to stick with that name, but my dad was in the Air Force for a while. He was on leave, and he passed on the interstate some sign that said Waverly's Diner, and stopped in there and said, "Hey, is there someone named Waverly here? We are thinking of naming our daughter that, and this just seems like a sign." And the person they talked to said, "Oh yeah, my name is Waverly. I'm the owner." And so they said, "That's it. We want to name her Waverly." And I love it. I mean, I never get mixed up with other people in class.
That's true. Right.
The only one of me with my first and last name in the world, as far as I'm aware. So you can Google it. There is no other person.
And it's interesting because it fits you.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, it's a weird thing, but it really does. That name fits you. And in a very positive way. Like it's unique and it's just, right. It's one of a kind. And I think that's exactly describes you. You're very unique, one of a kind. So it's a cool name.
Thank you.
So how did you get started in all of this acting stuff?
Oh boy. That's a good question. I got to think about where I want to start with that. It's funny because that's something I always wanted to do, but never thought I could do or I would be able to do. And I was always interested in the arts. Growing up, my parents had started me off doing dance when I was 3.
Wow.
Yeah, when I was young. I don't remember most of that, though. I did it from I was 3 to 8 years old. And then I also was really big into drawing and arts and crafts and that kind of stuff. And then I got into music for a while.
Okay.
And I still love music, but I ended up studying that in school. I got a little burnt out from it, quite frankly, because the pressure is just so much.
Yeah.
And I think one of the big issues, though, was I had a lot of performance anxiety.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh, my gosh. Yes. Very, very, very bad performance anxiety. And feeling like I wasn't good enough to be up there on stage, especially once I started college, because any degree in the arts is really, really competitive. And there's a lot of judgment. And I was struggling so hard when I was studying it in college. And I kind of lost my love for it for a little while. I used it as my motivation in high school. It kept me sane through anything I was going through. And then college became like work, you know? And I really, I still love playing music, but I had to kind of rediscover that.
Okay.
I took a little bit of break once I graduated college and kind of got more into doing live event stuff because I was a little lost for a little bit. wondering what I was going to do with COVID and all of that stuff that came on afterwards. But I started doing a lot of live production stuff because I figured that was a good avenue to go into, because a lot of musicians are good at doing audio related things. I ended up doing camera stuff in college as well, discovering that I really like doing that as well. And still struggling though with no matter what, it didn't really matter what I was doing. I was always struggling with that sense of self-confidence and imposter syndrome and not feeling like I was good enough to be in the room doing whatever it was. It's really, really frustrating. So I felt like I was never able to feel like I belonged in that space. And when COVID hit, I kind of lost everything, because I've been like a planner, or at least not necessarily a planner, but always a forward thinker. What am I going to do next? Sitting there thinking about planning what I should be doing next.
Right.
And I was living out in California and I was interning with Disney, and I had to move back home, and I couldn't freelance and do the live event stuff. I couldn't really do anything. I was really wanting to do it all. So I was trying to find something for me to do. And I wanted something artistic, kind of something like that to do. And I had always enjoyed watching movies and always said, I want to get into acting kind of things, but I don't know if I can really do that. Being on a stage and doing that in front of people, I already struggle with that enough. And I'd done a couple shows in high school, just like casually, not anything big or anything like that. But I always wanted that. And so during COVID, I started doing some online acting classes, just figured it would help with my crippling fear of performance anxiety. So I started taking classes online, and I had some friends that actually went here at Truthful Acting, and I was living back at home in Sarasota County, and I said, well, if I go back to Orlando, maybe I'll start taking classes at some point. And I moved back, I started working with Disney again, and I decided to move over here. So I said I was going to start looking at acting classes, and this was the one that kept popping up to me. And my roommate actually ended up taking a class here, and that kind of inspired me to try to take it here. And oh my gosh, yes, exactly what I needed. It's helped me so much with my confidence and understanding myself better. Because my job now at Disney is speaking in front of people, and I couldn't even do that. I would literally pause and stand there, not knowing what to say. Every thought would leave my mind.
And now just constantly that's what you're doing.
That's not what I have to do at work, which is funny. I think we are drawn to the things that we hate the most about ourselves. But I wanted so badly to get over that. And I know the classes here have so much helped me with that, where I feel I can actually get up and do something I never could have done a few years ago, where I would have been like, yeah, you're not getting me up there. I'm going to stay over here. But it's helped me in so many areas of my life. So, I mean, I have been enjoying taking acting classes just for the sake of taking them. And I don't know what the future is going to hold with that per se, but I'm enjoying what's happening
You're enjoying
in my
the journey
personal
of
life of it. Yeah, of it. And it's been helping me understand in myself and delve back into things like music, where I felt like I couldn't do it anymore.
What do you play musically?
Instrument-wise or genre-wise? Instrument-wise. So I was a guitar major in college.
Okay.
And piano was my secondary, but I also did choir. And when you study music in college, you have to do a bunch of requirements. So music theory every semester, your private lessons for your primary instrument every semester.
Yeah.
And you have to take ensemble.
Okay.
And a lot of universities don't have a lot for guitar majors. It's not an orchestral instrument.
Yeah.
So it's a harder one. They can do jazz band, but they always use the same guitar player for jazz band, as much as I liked playing jazz music. So what often happened was you would put in choir. So I started doing choir. Right. But yeah, so I took a bunch of different lessons in college just because I had the opportunity to try so many being a music major.
Well, a lot of the art forms overlap.
They do. I find they overlap so much.
Yeah. So it's great. I mean, if you're music or a choir or dance or they all kind of, they have similar lessons and similar things. And I mean, really confidence is a big one in all of that. I find it amazing how a lack of confidence can stop anyone from doing the things that they desperately want to do?
That has definitely stopped me for years.
Yeah.
So
Where does that come from? Like for you, do you know where that stems from?
I've tried to figure that out personally because when I was younger, I didn't have a problem with it. I was really young. I didn't have an issue with that. I remember my mom putting me in theater camp because my mom was always big into pushing me into the arts. And I did that for a few summers and I had no qualms about it. I even do improvs kind of activities. And I now freak out at the littlest improv anything. I remember doing that. I don't know what changed. I know I had a lot of family related things that did happen in my life that probably affected that. But I don't know per se why in that sense, because my family was never.
A lot of times, I mean, it happens high school, college. There's peer pressure. There's criticism, judgment.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been hypercritical of myself and overachiever kind of personality.
Yeah.
My dad is also a very, very big overachiever, so I know I got it from him. But he always achieved so much, and maybe that was also part of a thing because he's an orthopedic surgeon.
Okay.
And he was in the military. He's a flight surgeon. He's a scuba diver. He's a private pilot. He's a lot of things. So I guess, I mean, it's not like he pressured us into those things. But I guess I inherited that personality. My brother didn't. My little sister, well, she's adopted, so it's a little different as far as that front is concerned. But I guess I inherited all of that, where I always had the big drive and the desire to learn everything. I have to always be learning something at all times.
I think that's a good thing, though.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. Yeah, it keeps evolving.
I just like to take on too much.
Yeah,
I have a habit
I
of wanting to take on too much,
understand.
just like my dad. So
Yeah, I understand that feeling.
Oh yeah.
But you have much more confidence now.
Yes, these classes have helped me so much.
I mean, you can see it just in you. I mean, the way just in your normal everyday presence, you walk with confidence. You walk into a room of confidence, and it does make a difference. I think it makes a difference with the people around you. I'm sure it makes a difference at your job, and it's like the secret, right? That secret is we have to have confidence. It's the mystery is how do we get there? How do we do that? And it's just this slow process that we have to go through.
Yeah, I know I've still been trying to figure out myself where I'm at with those things as well. Because I look at what I was like a few years ago and wow, I wish I could have gone through what I was going through then. It would have been so much better than having to learn it so much later, but can't do that to yourself at the same time.
Well, and I think there's something to be said about, because I hear that a lot. It's like, oh, I wish I had these, like the lessons I learn now, wish I could have learned them in high school or college or whenever it was. But I think we have to be ready to learn them. I don't necessarily think we're always open to learning the lessons at another time.
Yeah, definitely.
But there's something about the timing of your life that it's like, oh, no, wait, now this was the right time to be able to do that.
No, I understand that completely. I can think of plenty of little moments in my life where I was like, wow.
Yeah,
that changed a lot.
So what advice would you give to others that are, either just starting out or maybe a lack of self-confidence?
I'd say don't let your fear get in the way.
Okay.
I kept myself from doing all these things I wanted to do just because I was too afraid to do them. It wasn't even other people. I mean, I think we all worry about what other people think.
Sure.
But the biggest detractor is yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can worry about what other people say, but you're the one that has to make the judgment call on what you do in your life.
Yeah.
So when you're the one standing in your own way, it's going to keep you from doing anything you really want to do.
So don't let it stop you.
Don't let it stop you. Don't tell yourself you can't do it. You're not good enough to be in the room. Just be there anyway. And I know imposter syndrome, they say, well, you don't feel, because that's what I struggle with a lot. You don't feel like you deserve to be in the room.
Yeah.
Well, and you fake it till you make it. But I mean, that's kind of what you have to do. Just got to be in the room, make yourself do it anyway. And one day you'll start believing it.
If you're there long enough, you'll then believe that you deserve to be there.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. All right. Well, thank you so much. I mean, it's time just flies, right? When we sit down and have this conversation, it's like, wow, time goes by so fast. But I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
So
love to come back sometime.
I'll make sure we get you back. If you'd like to learn more about our studio and what we do, you can find us online at truthfulacting.com. And check out truthfulactingonline.com for our Learn at Home at Your Own Pace courses.
So what I told you was true, from a certain point of view.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
I know what you're trying to do.
I'm trying to free your mind, but I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it.